Each year, let's come out with a new movie on the subject of Halloween, All Hallows Eve, and all that goes with it. It can go in any direction it wants, and each one can spin off any number of their own sequels. Now tell me, is that not a great, fertile idea that could make money for the rest of time? These are the words of Tommy Lee Wallace, the writer and director of the camp classic Halloween 3: Season of the Witch. Welcome to Third Time's a Charm, where we explore the third entry in a series and the way it changed, progressed, or regressed from its predecessors. The original Halloween movie from 1978 is one of the most successful indie films of all time, not only galvanizing the genre of teen slasher flicks, but cementing tropes and archetypes that are still used to this day. John Carpenter and writing partner Deborah Hill were asked to create a sequel, yet neither felt compelled to do so. Carpenter himself described the process of writing Halloween 2 as mainly dealt with a lot of beer, sitting in front of a typewriter saying, "What the fuck am I doing? I don't know." He also admitted the only reason for the reveal of Laurie Strode being Michael Myers' sister was because there wasn't enough story left to make the film more interesting. By the time Halloween 2 came out in 1981, the original felt tame in the wake of gory mainstream films like Alien and Friday the 13th. Though John Carpenter did not direct Halloween 2, he took over the editing process, shooting and adding extra scenes to make the slasher action more prominent. Though Halloween 2 was still a commercial success, John Carpenter and Deborah Hill were done with Michael Myers. Universal Studios, however, was not done with the Halloween franchise. Deborah Hill wanted to look into a story that delved into the traditional roots and history of Halloween, Samhain, and bring it into the new technological age of the 80s. No Michael Myers, no terrified teens, no high-pitched intro music, and people hated it. The title of Halloween had by now become irrevocably consumed by the iconic Michael Myers, and audiences could not divorce themselves from that image long enough to open up, much less enjoy, Season of the Witch. A shame, considering the villain in this film is so much more sinister. For Halloween 3: Season of the Witch, we go from Laurie Strode's suburban Illinois to Dr. Dan Chalice's hospital in a Northern California town. A week before Halloween, a patient holding on to dear life and a Halloween mask warns our hero Dan of impending doom. No, not that Halloween mask. These ones. Dan's suspicions are raised when the man is later murdered in his hospital, with the perpetrator immolating himself immediately afterwards. With the mask as the only clue to go on, Dan and the victim's daughter Ellie head to the factory town built around Silver Shamrock's novelty company. They quickly discover that all is not what it seems in this quaint Irish community, and that the murder of Ellie's father was only the beginning. Each mask contains a computer chip, as well as particles from Stonehenge, and by combining the powers of witchcraft and modern technology, they plan to murder every child who wears them. On the night of Samhain, all will be sacrificed to the gods of old to bring in a new age. But back to Michael Myers for a second. George R.R. Martin has often remarked on his distaste for one-dimensional evil antagonists. You don't just have people who wake up in the morning and say, "What evil things can I do today because I'm Mr. Evil?" As terrifying and iconic as a mass murderer is as he stalks and attacks his victims, there really isn't much else to Michael Myers. Sure, there are later movies that explore the origin of his evil, but in his first two films, he's just, well, Mr. Evil. I'm not saying you need motivation to be scary, but it can definitely improve the story, and if done the right way, can make a villain even more terrifying. The bad guy in Halloween 3 is a little less conspicuous than Michael Myers in that he's not a masked madman wielding a machete around town, but rather, Connell Cochran owns the town. As the CEO of Silver Shamrock, he has every single person working for him and living there under his surveillance and control. On top of that, he has an android army as well as the powers to harness ancient evil in order to sacrifice all the children and their families to the gods of old. This guy surpasses Michael Myers in every single way when it comes to villainy and mayhem. The nefarious Cochran and his plot is infinitely more sinister, not to mention more effective, than anything the masked man pulled off in his first 2 films. During the late 70s and early 80s, divorce rates were on the rise. Many mothers now spent more hours at work and less at home, leaving many youths across the country to their own devices. The music grew louder, the films more gruesome, and the feeling of unease in American suburbia began to grow. The kids were not all right, and the cause was Satan. No, seriously. This was the age of the satanic panic, and according to pearl-clutching mothers everywhere, everything from Judas Priest to Dungeons & Dragons threatened the very souls of our children. But the devil was not the only threat to America during this time. The Cold War had been forcing both sides to invest in developing greater weapons and smarter technology. Computers were slowly taking over every industry, even American homes, but was this a good thing? The 80s featured movies that explored anxieties over technology's ubiquitous presence in every facet of our lives, portraying it as something sinister, waiting to be exploited to the detriment of us all. And so here comes Halloween 3 Season of the Witch. The fear that Satan worshippers could infiltrate your small town fully realized, as the entire town itself is a secret coven. Not only that, but they are using modern-day technology in order to sacrifice the entire country. This combination from the old and new world was not only a powerful enemy for Dan and Ellie to fight, but it was a combination that resonated with what many felt they were already fighting. I can understand the confusion and even anger filmgoers must have felt after buying a ticket to see Michael Myers and not getting what they paid for. What if the Halloween sequel with Michael Myers never happened, and they immediately made this, and continued to make Halloween-themed movies every year with no connection? What if they had released the title of this movie as just Season of the Witch, with no connection to the Halloween franchise? Regardless, I still think there's a lot to love about this corny cult classic, and I hope you revisit it sometime this Halloween season.
Happy Halloween, 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 happy Halloween.